What's up, Windwalkers, and welcome to my Mythic Forgeweaver Araz guide for Manaforge Omega. I've decided to try and do these guides a little differently this time around, where I actually look back in retrospect and go through each aspect of the fight, from talents and gear, all the way to how each of the hero talents play out during the fight, and my thoughts on all of it. The video will be split into two parts. The first part will be the analysis and discussion of the encounter, and the second half will be a clean run through of the whole fight. This will be the structure of all these boss guides, and I think this makes it easier for you to see the encounter with a commentated discussion, as well as the option to watch the fight without interruptions. As with all of these guides, you can find the talent builds I recommend in the description, as well as the BIS Trinkets and timeline reminders for the relevant hero talent. Cool! I hope this style of video works well, and the analysis helps you with either getting your first takedown, or just getting a nice juicy pass. Anyway, let's get to it. It's a SHADOPAN fight. I think you probably can play Conduit here. I think there is an argument that Slicing Winds might have value here. And on the PTR, I actually played a lot of Conduit on this fight, and I thought Conduit might actually have the edge here. But it's the same as Soulbinder. It's almost the same as Lunamathar. When there are any adds that get involved in a fight, Crackling Jade Lightning has so much freaking value. Just being able to hit five targets with a Crackling Jade Lightning, 4 or 5 targets with a Crackling Jade Lightning 20 stack every single time, Conduit struggles so much to keep up with that damage. It's just so powerful, and that's why Conduit was so strong last year as well in Undermine when you ran the Crackling Jade Lightning build on certain bosses, because what carried your damage even with Conduit? It was Crackling Jade Lightning. Well, because you have to go Slicing Winds all down this tree now, and you lose too much down the middle that you need this tier, and can't go Crackling Jade Lightning with Conduit, realistically. That is why SHADOPAN's so good for this fight. On top of that, Flurry Strikes are just fucking... They're overpowered, right? I mean, let's have a look at the damage breakdown. You can see Flurry Strikes, Crackling Jade Lightning, 2 of the highest. Obviously, it breaks down Storm, Earth, and Fire. But once again, Crackling Jade Lightning, highest Storm, Earth, and Fire ability, right? Your damage is carried by these 2 abilities, similar to Soulbinder. Fist of Fury is still good, but when your highest damage is Crackling Jade Lightning that you press like 7 times, and Flurry Strikes that you just activate by like Tiger Palming, Conduit struggles to keep up with this, and that's why this is also a SHADOPAN fight. And it's a fun fight. I love this fight. Once again, Unyielding Nether Prism. You can see Forgeweaver Araz used to be like an 8-minute fight. Nether Prism used to have a lot more value here. I would run Ritual Forge, Araz Ritual Forge for this fight 100% now. Similar to how I'd run it on Plexus, how I'd run it on Lumathar, how I'd run it on Soulbinder. These fights are just so short that Nether Prism, the value that you lose from not having it at the start outweighs the value that you gain from having it stronger later on in the fight, if that makes sense. Obviously, didn't have the option to run Araz, so I ran Nether Prism. Still a good trinket, right? Every time I said that Nether Prism, like, I'd run Araz, it doesn't mean Nether Prism bad. It just means that I think Araz just does the job it needs to do better for these certain fights because they're now so short. 5-minute 30 is not a long fight, especially when a lot of this time is actually just spent in a kind of downtime period in the middle here when you're hitting the conveyors. We'll call them conductors. I'm sure they're not actually called conductors, and you're doing basically no damage here because it's all just single target cringe. So yeah, Araz Ritual Forge, Crackling Jade Lightning. In terms of builds, this is actually a Shadow Box and Tread fight. You get a lot of value from the adds. They're constantly spawning. Getting Blackout Kick Cleave's really good. Once again, as with a lot of these bosses, I do run Zuin's Battle Gear because at the whole heart of them, you want to do boss damage, right? And Fist of Fury is still really valuable. And for the majority of the fight, it is, in quotation marks, a single target fight because the boss is mostly up more than there are ad spawns, right? So you do still want to get the value from getting Rising Sun Kick into Fist of Fury more often. But during AoE, I rarely Rising Sun Kick because my job during AoE is predominantly to be getting Tiger Palms out. So in the big AoE situations, you'll rarely see me actually using Zuin's Battle Gear to its full effectiveness because I'm focusing more on Tiger Palming more than anything because Flurry Strikes are what are carrying this fight along with Crackling Jade Lightning. Other than that, nothing too crazy here. I did take Peace and Prosperity and Tiger's Hail Sweep for this one. And it's worth actually going over this sheet here for this one. So you can see just how important it is to get CC out for this fight, and it is worth having sort of maybe not sheets like this detailed and stuff, but everybody needs to be aware when they're using their CC. So I was basically assigned quite a lot of CC here: leg sweeps, rings of pieces, leg sweeps, rings of pieces, stuff like that throughout the fight. So just making sure I had the extra cooldown on them and had the bigger range for leg sweep was quite vital as well. Because the big range, like sometimes your leg sweep just isn't wide enough. Well, might as well just take the talent and that increases it a little bit, because if the ads don't get leg swept, you're in for a bad time. All right, let's find it then. I need to find the kill one, because I do actually think we wiped. Yeah, it's this one. All right, so pretty standard opener as per with every single one of these bosses, right? They kind of start off as single target fight, so you go, Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Tiger Palm into, Zuin, Storm Earth and Fire. Now, the big difference that's changed with this fight is it is now a lust on pull fight, but for some reason we didn't lust on pull. I don't really know why, but for a lot of guilds, you now strategize to actually lust on pull, or potentially, like we're going to do, lust a little bit later. So with the ads, so there are two ways of doing this. It depends how your guild wants to do it. One way is to have your ad spawners behind the portal, which is absolutely fine. The other way is to have them in front and have someone knock them back, usually like an evoker or a druid. We opted for this strategy. The main reason for doing so is that you actually get more boss uptime by doing this. Because if you have 3 players that run to the back here, then the ads run through. The ads actually take a little bit longer to get on top of the boss, and to hit these ones at the back as well whilst they're running through takes away a bit from boss damage. So having like everything kind of stacked up is important. So you can see I actually hold for a sec here. So even though I'm going to send out a Crackling Jade Lightning here, do not damage these ads until they've been knocked into the portal. The biggest mistake you can make is sending Crackling Jade Lightning or something straight away. These ads have a DR on them until they've touched this portal. So until they've actually stepped foot inside of the gunk, they take like 99% reduced damage. So if they spawn and you instantly crack the Jade Lightning, that does 0 damage. You do absolutely no damage to anything, and you've kind of like screwed yourself a little bit. So I wait a little bit, I wait for 16, and then I send, right? I'm trying to make sure that the Echo actually spawns as well, so I can get a bounce off of that thing and just get as much value as possible. It's kind of a tightrope of how long can you wait before the manifestations die, before your Crackling Jade Lightning stops doing damage because they've died, but you want to get the full value of it. So it's early is probably better when the manifestations actually come out, because I wanted to hit the Echo a little bit as well. I did wait a sec. And you can see here, I don't send my Storm, Earth, and Fire with this set here. Even if we lusted, I wouldn't have done it. And it's a lot of Windwalkers do this. And I understand why. You want to benefit from Bloodlust with the haste and stuff, because it was technically still inside the window. But I think you get less value from this because the ad sets are... There's only one ad set for this first one. So you're essentially only getting Storm, Earth, and Fire value for one set of ads. So you can see I have it set up here for the next set, although it will double stack a little bit. So I'm now at 2 stacks for a couple of seconds. I still think it's worth it. So you can see I'm getting ready here to send everything, Crackling Jade Lightning ready. And I send, I go, I get in my soak at the last second, I leg sweep, I do all this jazz, and then I'm fully sending on everything here. And then I get ads on myself again. And this is what I mean by having the double set of Storm, Earth, and Fire. Because now my Storm, Earth, and Fire is still going. I still get double Flurry Strikes here. I hit them with a double Flurry Strike, and I save my Lightning. I don't Lightning on the first set. Was I at 20 stacks? I think it was because I wasn't quite on 20 stacks. And I knew that... And because I had to do this whole gimmick of jumping into the soak and get my CC off, I felt that it was better suited, because you're only going to get one set of Crackling Jade Lightning for this set of ads, these 2 sets regardless. So I thought, send it out on the second set. Makes a bit more sense to do so. As well, I still have my Storm, Earth, and Fire running. So this is why I value the Storm, Earth, and Fire being sent out here a bit more. Because you get it basically for the 2 sets of ads rather than the 1. Even though you get like 3 seconds on double Storm, Earth, and Fire stacks, I think it's worth the trade-off. I'll be 100% honest, and I will die on this hill. So next set of ads is going to be the 3 set of ads, and this is when you have all your big cooldowns. So we're building up Crackling Jade Lightning again. We're only going to get 1 send out here, because you'd only get 120 stacks. And on this fight in particular, you do want to send at 20 stacks when possible. So you can see the ads spawn, and this is when I send. I send out on this first set here, because I know it's going to last for the majority of every single set that comes out. Get ads again, stand in the correct position, build up my lightning a little bit. I wait for them to get knocked in, and then we send our lightning. So sending out lightning too early is a mistake here. If I sent it out as they dropped on the floor, I would have hit them all, but I would have done no damage, right? And that's the big issue here. It's also worth sending on the first set of ads, because even though you can send a little bit later and get the last 2 sets here, cooldowns are quite important here because it's only a 5-minute 30 fight, so you don't really want to delay much. You kind of want to send on cooldown, and it lines up to do so. Once again, finish the ads, yada yada yada. I'm really talking about defensives here. Probably worth talking a little bit about defensives. Defensives are an interesting one on this fight. I always pop Diffuse Magic before he knocks you back, because it does a lot of arcane damage, so it's the one time I have assigned Diffuse Magic, because the knockback actually hurts. My other two defensives, they used to be pretty set in stone, based on if you get the ad mechanic, or if there's a lot of raid damage coming out, but the damage has been nerfed quite a lot. I play mostly reactive defensives here. So if I get an ad set on me or I see that I get hit by there's random targeted damage on this fight from the collectors. You can get zapped by 3 collectors all at once. It's RNG, it can happen, it sucks. I try to play a little bit more reactive defensive here, except for my set 1 defensive that I do for the knockback. And then once again, just finish off the ads and then go to your collector. Pretty boring now. Not much going on in the collector, I'll be honest. I don't send any cooldowns on this collector, there's no point. It's just a dodge beam sort of thing. This is the one other time that I send out defensives. So defensives for this part of the fight are both Fortifying Brute and Karma, because as this ramps up, the damage hurts a lot. So once you're at a few stacks, then the pop Fortifying Brute first, then Karma. You can see as well, because the ads got brought over to me, I was actually holding my my lightning so that I could hit all 3 targets, so I get value from Crackling Jade Lightning even during the intermission, right? I hit 3 targets rather than the 1 collector. Some value. I pop my Fort Brew, and then I pop Karma here in a sec. I'm 85% sure. I'm probably waiting for the damage to tick a bit harder, and then I send my Karma just to guarantee that I can get over the finish line here. You do want to down these all within roughly the same time, even though you have a 10-second window. It's still valuable to try and get them all down. You can see how much damage we're taking, right? People are dying because these collectors haven't all died. We've taken a while. We were very lucky not to wipe here, to be honest. And I'm at 2 stacks now, Storm and Fire again. That's absolutely fine. I send one out instantly, and I'm actually going to crack the Jade Lightning early here, even though it's at 16 stacks, because I want to hit all 3 targets. The boss is on a damage amp, but I'm also get value from hitting 2 extra targets before they perish. If they perish, I lose out on a lot of lightning damage from not hitting the extra 2 targets, right? And all I do here is I send out the 1 Storm, Earth, and Fire. And that's all I give the boss during its damage amp. Because you're actually only going to get 1 damage amp here now, because we push it so fast. And then I'm actually going to hold my cooldowns here until we get the next ad set. Because the next ad set is another 3 setter. So it sounds like it's a while. It sounds like it's a lot of time to hold your cooldowns here. But you're also building up lightning stacks anyway, and you want the full value of your cooldowns, right? So the moment these ads get knocked in, time to send my coolies. And then we suddenly send everything. I build up lightning to 20, send it out, almost get one shot by something. And essentially, once the boss hits 15%, that's when it phases. So you get the full duration of your cooldowns for this period here. We almost wipe here, because they didn't get knocked in, and the ads are running to the thing, but because the boss phased, they disappeared. That was almost a massive wipe. We got extremely lucky. And then I saved 1 Storm, Earth, and Fire here for the very end of the fight, because I knew how low the boss was. And I thought to myself, well, there's tons of ads spawning at the end. You need as much damage as possible at the end. Might as well hold here for a little bit, so that we can absolutely nuke this guy down. So if you get the ads, make sure you stood in the corner. And then you're just basically playing the race against time. And it's not as, dangerous as it used to be. I almost get 1 shot here. Amazing. And then once the ads spawn, that's when I send my Storm, Earth, and Fire, start getting some Flurry Strike value. And then we send out the Crackling Jade Lightning at 20 at the very end, whilst we get sucked into the abyss, and the boss kind of just flops over. So, what we learned from this fight, essentially, you are sending cooldowns at kind of specific times. The idea is to send out your big cooldowns during the 3 sets of ads at 2 minutes and at about, it's 4 minutes 20 or something, 4 minutes 30. And you should always get this. For another while at least before we get to the point where you push the boss so fast. And at that point, when we get to the point where you push the boss so fast, I would actually probably hold my cooldowns for the final phase, P3, when there are ads again. The main reason for this is that even if you sent it 4 minutes, you would never get another set of cooldowns. The fight's not going to 6 minutes at that point, right? So essentially, you're only getting 3 sets of cooldowns on this fight. One's going to be sent at 0, one's going to be sent at 2. And then your last set of cooldowns usually wants to line up with when they're the most amount of ads spawning to get the most value from Crackling Jade Lightning, get them all down, yada, yada, yada. And then, yeah, once again, as I said, defensives are very reactive now for this fight. It's just, if it looks like you're taking a ton of damage, pop a defensive and try have one for the knockback, big AoE knockback. Um, it used to be so much more punishing on damage. Everything was assigned. So, like, throughout this fight, you might have seen, like, tons of assignments for defenses and stuff that I didn't pop, stuff like that. It's just not as necessary anymore. Healers are more geared, shit like that. You know how it be. Didn't even use my health stone or health pot. It's just defensive when you need defensive. The only time I'd say that there are definite defensives are the knockback, as I said, and the intermission. If it's one intermission or two intermissions, because the pylons hit so hard now, or like they still do, because it lasts a while, because it's only a single target, and people are holding cooldowns for the amp, you kind of always want fortifying brew for about the halfway point, and then calmer at the very end, just to get the bonus health from fortifying brew, but also just to carry over to the end. So that's the idea for Araz. It's a fun fight, but it's a lot shorter. 4 minute 30 is a super short fight when this used to be like 8 minutes. And the only thing that will really change is when you send out your last set of cooldowns, your last Zuin and your last Storm and Fire, which I think will just end up being P3 eventually. Uh, maybe even the damage amp. No, you wouldn't have it for the damage amp, would you? It will just end up being P3. This fight's going to get so short that there's no value from sending it any other time than when the first set of ads spawn in P3 when you all getting sucked back. That will be what this fight turns into, I promise. So 0, 2 minutes, and then during that will be cooldowns. And then, you know, using your extra Storm, Earth, and Fire during Crackle Jade Lightning windows to make sure you get as much value from Crackle Jade Lightning as possible. That's the idea anyway.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Invoke Siwan, the White Tiger. Storm, Earth, and Fire.
Orb. Orb.
Touch of Karma. Crackling Jade Lightning.
Orb. 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 Orb.
Storm, Earth, and Fire.
Orb.
Fortifying Brew. Legsweep into ring.
Orb.
Storm, Earth, and Fire. Invoke Siwan, the White Tiger. Legsweep.
Orb.
Ring of Peace. Diffuse Magic.
Orb. Orb.
Touch of Karma.
Orb. Orb.
Fortifying group.
Photon blast.
Storm, earth, and fire.
Photon blast. Five, four, three, two, one. Lana splinter.
Orb.
Invoke Xuen, the white tiger. Storm, earth, and fire.
Orb.
Astral harvest.
Touch of karma. Fortifying group.
Orb.
Legsweep. Diffuse magic.
Next.
Ring of peace.
Dark Terminus.
Transcendence. CC rotation incoming.
Orb.